Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Tuesday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios in the confines of the bunker in an undisclosed location in New Jersey and Chicago, Illinois, and American Whiskey, 51 Edison Place in the beautiful downtown heart of Newark, New Jersey, across the street from Prudential Center next to Championship Plaza, where the rich people set up their temporary buildings and have a rich gala like they did last Sunday. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Pucks and Pitchforks blog contributor Vinnie Parise, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. And it's a packed house on a Tuesday night at American Whiskey. We see Peyton. We see a lot of people just drinking it up and getting ready and pre-gaming like they will on February 25th, our $500,000 party. Vinny, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing very good, Sam Wu. The Devils are playing good. We're talking about becoming buyers rather than sellers like they've been over the last couple years. We see American Whiskey loaded with people. The games are getting more and more packed. They're getting more and more exciting. They're starting to win at home again. This is exactly what we want to see when it comes to New Jersey Devils hockey, and I'm super excited about it.
I'm definitely super excited about it. The next three games, we got that one against Pittsburgh. Big one because it's a Metropolitan Division. Now you're going with the Western Conference team that's pretty much in the top three, the Vegas Golden Knights. And you know what? They've given the Devils some trouble in the past, a young franchise. And then the two games afterwards against Nashville and Dallas Stars before the All-Star break. We talked about this, Vinny. The Devils would like to finish up strong. At the same time, the trade rumors galore. It has been just the hot stove is so sizzling hot. And I know you put out a tweet out there. Why don't you explain to the audience about what you tweeted about earlier today?
Yeah, so it was actually really late at night last night. It was like 12:45 a.m. I was awake finishing up some work. Obviously, the baseball hot stove is a little hot right now, too, so I was up late doing some work, and I started thinking to myself, and these are things that keep me awake at night. Most people, they go to bed. Not me. I sit up thinking about what is the New Jersey Devils forward lineup going to look like if they were to trade for a player like Timo Meier. Now, for those who don't know, Timo Meier was part of Team Swiss at the World Championships last year and the year before COVID, I believe, too, where him and Nico Hischier were just absolutely unbelievable playing together on a line for Team Swiss and making that Swiss team a lot better than other people would probably predict they would be. And San Jose Sharks assistant general manager is here in New Jersey tonight scouting the New Jersey Devils. I think that's very interesting. Obviously, Timo Meier is garnering some interest across the National Hockey League. Teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Colorado Avalanche, the New York Rangers, and your New Jersey Devils are amongst the teams that are in the mix for Timo Meier. So I thought it'd be fun to tweet out last night. Pretty late at night, got some good response for what time it was. What would your New Jersey Devils forward lines look like if Timo Meier were added to the team? I asked you, the fans. We used the Let's Go Devils podcast official Twitter account to kind of promote it and give it a little bit of a bump. It told people that I would read some of those comments aloud on the Let's Go Devils Game Day Live ahead of the game against the Golden Knights tonight, Sam. But I think we'll let you go first. Talk about what you think the New Jersey Devils forward line would look like with Timo Meier.
Wow. Put me on the spot here. I'm a little bit of an oddball. I'm going to call it the contract line because it's going to be contract years for everybody. Timo Meier, Eric Haula, and Tomas Tatar. Because I don't want to mess with the top six. And that's saying something because that means you're rolling four lines. Did I spoil it for you?
No. You're definitely not spoiling it. That's the first one of that kind that I've seen so
I have
far.
to be an oddball. I have to be an oddball
what,
when it comes to this stuff.
I appreciate it. So I'm assuming that means you're keeping Andre Palat with Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt, or Nico Hischier with Jesper Bratt, because you're sliding down Eric Holla into that third line center role. You're probably bumping up Dawson Mercer into the top six and keeping him there, and obviously keeping the BMW line together.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
in all seriousness, I think Eric Holla is best fit on the third line. It's not a demotion. I just think we can get more out of Eric Holla on the third line, and I think Timo Meier, somebody that can finish, and he's not. And we can't even call it a third line. I just want Lindy to just have the foot on the pedal the entire time with the Beefalytics line, the BMW line, being the fourth line. If you put Timo Meier with Tomas Tatar, who has been pretty good this season, I'm not going to say he's excellent, but he has been pretty good at times. And then Eric Holla, again, if the guy starts finishing like he did with the Vegas Golden Knights in his first year with them, those three lines rolling could cause a lot of problems for the opposition. That's all I'm saying.
They absolutely could. I personally think Nico Hischier can get even to another level offensively. And I think that would absolutely propel the Devils into being, a really good team. Hischier's point per game, right? I think he has the capability of being well over point per game. If Jack Hughes is a 105, 110-point player, I have no reason to believe that Nico Hischier can be anything other than a 95 to a 100-point player. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, believe he's that talented. And if you put a guy like Timo Meier on his line, I think that can help elevate him. And I have him playing with Nico and Jesper Bratt, obviously that's three players right there who could all score 25 to 30 goals. They can all drive their own offense. It doesn't matter which one of them has the puck. And the nice thing about that line is, much of a skilled line as it is, it's a grinder line as well. All three of those guys are proven that they have the ability to go to the front of the net. Meier scored a goal right in front of the net on the Devils a couple games ago, and made it tough in front of, I think it was I think it was Mackenzie Blackwood who started that game. And I don't actually remember. It was one of them, obviously. But he was making it hard for the Devils defenders down low. You put Hischier is like, a poor man's Sidney Crosby or Patrice Bergeron, where he'll go to the front of the net. He'll play dirty below, take big beatings, and that's why he's always got a grimace on his face. And Jesper Bratt, same thing. Obviously willing to do that. That bumps Andre Palat down to play with Jack Hughes, and I have him with Tomas Tatar. I do think, having a guy who have the ability to score some goals like that, some veterans, are, a good fit for Jack Hughes. I did bump Eric Holla down to third line center. He mostly takes faceoffs anyway, whether he plays wing or center. When he plays wing, it's with Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes isn't taking faceoffs over Eric Holla. They're letting Holla do it. So why not just make him a third-line center? And I put Yegor Sharangovich and Dawson Mercer with him, two young players who could absolutely help get the most of what Eric Holla does best. I believe Dawson Mercer is the fourth best forward on the Devils. He would become the fifth best forward on the Devils if they added Timo Meier. And then Miles Wood, Michael McLeod, Nathan Bastian, those guys, they got to stick together on the fourth line. They're separated tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights, but I think if you add a player like Timo Meier to the group, you create that type of depth where you could keep that fourth line together. Obviously, Jesper Boquist, Alexander Holtz. I'm not sure if one of them goes back to San Jose. I'm assuming at least one of them goes back to San Jose if the Devils were to acquire Meier. But I think that's a pretty dang good forward group, if I do say so myself. Whether you put Meier with Hughes, with Hischier, put an Olympian on every line because it would be funny, make him on the third line. I just think there's no doubt that this is a move that New Jersey should absolutely be considering. It'd be nice if it came with a contract extension, as his $6 million is up after this season, but we will see what happens.
Yeah, and also, just keep in mind when I made that, and I was joking, but I was not. I thoughtfully thought out where I would put Timo Meier. And again, it's not that he's a third-line player. We got to get that out of our heads. This team is at its best when you can roll four lines. So whichever line is out there is the best line you have, right? I know that sounds cliche. I know that sounds whatever. However, Vinny, when you have a balanced four lines like that, here comes the power play. And that can be very, very – you want to be top-heavy on the power play and put your best players out there. Absolutely, Timo Meier would be on PP1. You definitely have to have him on PP1. I think you want him PP1, and I would even put Bastion on PP2 if his role was to be in front of the net, and have Timo Meyer, Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Nico Heischer, and Dougie Hamilton manning the point. That could be absolutely deadly. And if you're in a need to pull the goaltender, and you have 6 players out there, that is absolutely just crazy what Timo Meyer can bring. What my concerns are is what he can command next year, and what will it cost the Devils to get Timo Meyer. San Jose, they're not a bunch of dummies here. They're going to ask for a lot. And would they be willing to take an Alexander Holtz picks, other prospects as well? That's a big ask. Yeah, I don't know. Would you do it? I would only do it if Timo Meyer is locked long-term at the right price.
Absolutely, and I honestly think that would have to be a contingent on trading for him. I do think it's something that the Devils could get done. Sam, are there people in the YouTube chat coming up with some line combinations, throwing some line combinations out there?
Not yet, but let's talk to Facebook Live and YouTube Live and Twitch and Twitter Live. Give us your line combinations with Timo Meyer if that trade were to happen.
Absolutely, and then as those start to pour in, Sam will read them off. Let's read some off from Twitter. What do you say?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Because now everybody's asking me for my football picks for this weekend. I don't know why. They're crazy.
I'll give my football picks.
Yeah, why don't we give the football picks just to get it out of the way? Okay, Ted? Thanks a lot, Ted.
All right, you want to do that now?
Yeah, let's do this now. AFC.
All right.
You go first.
I believe that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to play against the San Francisco 49ers in a rematch of the Super Bowl from 2020, right before COVID happened. It was like 3 weeks before COVID started to come down, and it was a really, really good Super Bowl. I think those are the two best teams in their respective conferences. I've been on that for a long time. Patrick Mahomes has a bum ankle, and I still think he's worlds better than everybody else. But I will say this. Don't be shocked if Joe Burrow and the Bengals find a way to pull it off, because Joe Burrow is getting close to being on the same level as Patrick Mahomes. I do believe the AFC champion will go on to win the Super Bowl.
All right. I'm not that my thing goes by who I like. I can't stand Mahomes. I can't stand his brother. I can't stand his wife. So I'll be honest, I like Joe Burrow because he keeps his mouth shut and he seems like a cool dude. So I will go with the Bengals over the Chiefs. And in terms of Dallas and the 49ers, it's not Dallas, sorry. Philly and the 49ers. As much as I want to see both teams lose, I would pick the 49ers over Philadelphia because their fans eat horse poop after winning the Super Bowl. So, Ted, I hope you enjoyed this. And then in terms of who's going to win the Super Bowl, Mr. Irrelevant versus Joe Burrow, number one versus the last pick, I'm going to pick Joe Burrow on that.
There you go. We'll make official Super Bowl predictions before the Super Bowl, I'm sure, too.
Yeah, things can change quickly.
Yeah, and we also have two more Devils games before, right? Don't they play on Thursday and Friday? So
Thursday and Friday, yeah.
So we have plenty of time to reserve our right to change the picks based on the information given about Patrick Mahomes and what's going on with his ankle. But on Twitter, Senor Cobb believes that Meyer will play with Nico Heischer, Jesper Bratt, and then Palat with Hughes and Mercer, Sharon Govich, Halla, Boquist, BMW as the fourth line. I like that. Mike C. from New Jersey believes that Palat will stay with Nico and Bratt, and Timo Meyer will play with Jack Hughes and Thomas Tatar, leaving Yegor Sharangovich with Halla Mercer. A lot of Halla on the third line playing center instead of wing. Obviously, almost all these people have BMW as the fourth line, but there is a fourth line that's not BMW that I'm reading. Someone whose Twitter handle is Jesper Bruckquist. What up, Jesper Bruckquist? Palat playing with Heischer and Meyer. Sharangovich with Hughes and Bratt. And then, so they have Meyer on the right wing, which I looked online. The Sharks, every game so far lately, have been using Meyer as a left wing, but according to Cap Friendly, he can play right wing and has in the past. So, you could slot him on either wing based on how it goes. I just think with the Devils, their right wing depth is a little bit stronger than their left wing depth. And Tomas Tatar is also capable of playing both, so it could go either way with that. Free Irony says Hischier with Meyer and Haula. And Casey believes that Palat will play with Hughes and Mercer, and Meyer will play with Hischier and Bratt. He has the Hischier line as the second line. Someone wrote a long-term line combo, including Meyer, and that obviously means he would have signed an extension. Palat with Hughes and Holtz on the top line, and then Meyer with Hischier and Bratt as the second line. Arseny Gritsuk with Haula and Mercer on the third line, and then Zetterlund with Boquist and Bastian on the fourth line. Obviously, they included Hughes and Nemec on their, defensive pairs, but that's not really impacted by what happens with Meyer. Steve Bezos believes that Meyer will play with Hischier and Palat, Bratt with Hughes and Tatar, Boquist, Haula, Mercer, BMW, and there are lots of people arguing that no matter what, Hughes should be playing with Meyer despite the Swiss connection with Hischier.
Well, Max in the YouTube live says Hischier, Meyer, Sharangovich, Palat, Hughes, and Bratt, Tatar, Haula, Mercer, and BMW. Devil's Aces says Hughes, Haula, and Meyer. That's actually not a bad line. Hughes, Haula, Meyer.
No, it's not. It's just so I hate Jack Hughes on the wing. He's been terrible when he played the wing in his life. But and I just think he could just be so much more creative, and he's getting, takeaways, and not saying he's like a Selke candidate or anything like that. He's shown well to me when he's played center, and he has not shown well playing on the wing. But the fact of the matter, nobody rarely ever puts the same thing. Everybody has different ideas of what could happen, and that's why when people critique the coach on what the coach does with lines, I'm sitting there going, literally, does anybody agree on all 12 forwards on where they should go in the lineup? I don't think a single person would. I think everyone in the world would do it just a little bit differently, and so that's where I stand on it. I would put Meyer with Hischier. I've seen them play well together before. It wouldn't shock me if it translated to the NHL just because they're both so good, and yeah, it's an interesting conversation.
Like what I said on the power play, PP1, Meyer, Hughes, Hischier, Bratt, and Dougie Hamilton at the point. That's a sick power play.
It's an unbelievable power play, and then you could move Bastian down to be the net front presence on the second unit and start using some of the other skilled players on the team. Andre Palat, I think, would be a good option on that second power play. Sharangovich is a sniper, obviously. Eric Haula can win faceoffs and make plays, and you could use Severson or Luke Hughes or Simon Nemec. There are lots of different options on that second unit. Maybe Luke Hughes will be so sick that he comes up and plays on the top unit, and then you could slide Dougie down, and then you're really cooking with some depth. I don't know. There are so many options in the coming years.
Think about this. You're down a goal. You pull your goaltender. That PP1 I just explained, and then Palat as your sixth guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sick.
You know what, Sam? You can even challenge Palat and say Dawson Mercer.
Yeah.
Or you could throw, if Luke Hughes is so good on defense that he's basically like a high-end offensive, you could throw him out there and see if he could make a play. Like, there are just so many options with this team in the next coming years that, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and I explained this on the Woo Report yesterday because we were talking about trade rumors that whatever happens, Vinny, when Tom Fitzgerald makes a trade, he's got to keep that pipeline going. Do not cut off the spigot if you can help it, because it's going to cost a lot to get some of these players that are rumored. And you know what? If the Devils did it right back in 2015, they should have picked Meyer over Pavel Zacha. and we wouldn't be in this mess.
I mean, there are a lot of people they should have taken over Pavel
Yeah.
Zacha. I mean, everyone hates him now. Provorov went a pick later. The Flyers, I
Yeah.
mean, regardless of what you think about him, he's been better than Pavel Zacha. Werenski went number 8.
Yeah.
I believe McAvoy was the year later when they took McLeod. I mean, and that's another thing. They could have had McAvoy. They passed on him
Yep.
for McLeod. I mean, those 2 drafts they gave them NHL players, which is not a guarantee in any draft, but they could have had superstars.
I'll tell you what, they did well with Jesper Bratt. You got to give them credit there in 2016.
Yep.
But the Devils scouting and the analytics people and all that, it was in its infancy once Lou Lamoriello left the team. So I give them a little bit of leeway because Ray Shero had to deal with a lot. I think where Ray Shero went wrong is 2 things. Number one, he held on to John Hines too long. And the other thing that went wrong was I think that whole fool's gold with Taylor Hall's MVP season and the Devils making the playoffs gave a false reading where the team was at. Since then, Tom Fitzgerald has been nailing most of his moves. Like, he's gotten lucky. He's gotten lucky here and there, but I think he's done a great job. But I just want to transition, Vinny, because we talked about this yesterday. What are your thoughts on the rumors of Quinn Hughes? I mean, I know Eklund was talking about it on his thing, and, for sake of discussion, I mean, do the Devils really need to go after Quinn Hughes now?
No, they don't need to. I do think it would elevate the excitement around the team. Like, okay, we got the 3rd Hughes brother now. Like, let's go win the Stanley Cup. Like,
Yeah.
I do think it would change morale around the team. And, I'm sure Nemec would have to go back to Vancouver for him because you're not trading Luke Hughes if you're getting Quinn. You're going to want all 3. And so I think there's pros and cons to the whole thing. Honestly, whatever happens there, I'm going to be okay with.
I think, honestly, the only way the Devils would have Quinn Hughes, because right now, Vancouver is in a little bit of a pickle right now. They just fired Bruce Boudreau, very popular with the fans. I don't think the fans like the new regime that's running the team, Jim Rutherford. I don't think he's very popular right now, but he's making hard decisions. It would have to take Quinn Hughes to telling management, trade me, and this is where I want to go. And that's where I think the Devils could come in and make a trade where it doesn't cost as much because they would have all the leverage there. At the same time, the Devils don't really need to really bring Hughes in such a bad way right now. Anyway, I think he's just going to cost way too much, and they're going to ask for the world for him. And, again, would he come to the Devils? I give it a 5% chance. I'm not, I think the Devils need to address other things than, bring another defenseman. But by the way, if you look on defense, like who could they send to Vancouver to satisfy their needs? Guys on expiring contracts? That's not going to happen,
No, it would have to be like a package that includes a 1st-round pick, Simon Nemec, and maybe Alexander Holtz.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen. It's not worth it because you can get Quinn Hughes somewhere down the line if you want to have the union of the trio brothers. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way too. I'm on duty. I will be watching the Canucks tonight. They play the Blackhawks. So as soon as the Devils are done, I will be reporting on that game for thewindycity.com. So
yeah,
kind of looking forward to watching Quinn a little bit.
Yeah. Just also want to say hello to the people at American Whiskey listening to us at the bar. We'll just zoom in right here. Vinny, it just looks like a good old time at American Whiskey. I see Peyton just working the bar, just a great time. I wish I was there right now, but we're in the confines of our own primetime radio studios, Vinny.
Yeah, we got a storm of brewing in the Midwest, so I'm happy to be chilling, warm in my house.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're getting up to that time. Everyone's they've been. Yes, Vitek Vanacek is in net, folks. I get it. I've seen it repeated 15,000 times in the YouTube live chat. Thank you. All right, Tuesday night predictions. Vinny, you go first. Steve Engel says 4-2 Devils. Ramona says 4-2
That's
Devils.
exactly what I was going to say. 4-2 New Jersey Devils. I believe they will win the game. They'll throw in an empty netter after a tight 3-2 battle. I'm looking for a huge game from Heischer, who has played well against the Golden Knights in his career, including an OTGWG.
Oh, my goodness, says 3-1 Devils. Devils Aces said 3-2 Devils. Max says 5-2 Devils. I'm gonna go bold here. 3-0 Devils. Vitek Vanacek with the shutout. Vegas Golden Knights are not going to score, and yeah, I'm taking a risk there, Vinny. 3-0.
I like it, Sam.
3-0. I mean, Vitek Vanacek is hot right now. You gotta play the hot goalie right now.
And they're cold. No Mark Stone. Been a little bit injured lately, a little cold. I think they're 2-6-2 in their last 10, something weird like that. I don't know if I might have been off by a game or two, but it's been a little bit rough for Vegas. See if the Devils can keep it going for them.
Yeah. I want to thank all those tuning in, dropping the podcast in about 20 minutes. Just remember, Devils After Dark, after the game, Scotty at SiriusXM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was. Devils taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Any last words, Vinny?
Hopefully they're able to play well, do what they need to do against a team that's considered really good and hard to play against. As always, they say, let's go Devils.
Yeah, and Steve Engel is asking, why is the game at 7:30? Because it's an ESPN Plus game. And
Hulu!
Yeah, or is it Hulu or ESPN
Oh,
Plus?
it's both.
Oh, it's both. All right. Don't scare me there, Vinny. I thought I was wrong. But let me tell you, I'm glad that people have said the same thing. You know what I can't stand? The stream always stops on me, and I get all these video codec errors with the ESPN feed. This is a guy that streams this podcast, and I have trouble. Get it together, ESPN. Get it together. Anyway, enough of that. And yes, I'm using one of the finest MacBook Pros to stream it. It's not like, I've got some Tandy computer that's that a rat is going on a wheel powering it up. All right? I'm not using a 5 1/4 disk drive and a 2400 baud modem. Anyway, enough of the geek talk. Thank you, everybody at American Whiskey. Remember to tip your bartenders. See you after the game. Till next time, let's go Devils.